Start.
Welcome to WION World of Cricket. I am Isha Hanspal. We already have a lot of frenzy here in the studio. Definitely the toss happened between Sri Lanka and South Africa. Two very differently poised teams, I must say. South Africa, everyone's been touting it as the dark horses of the tournament, has an amazing top order and even the middle order batting lineup. In contrast to Sri Lanka, one can perhaps argue the batting order up top a little shaky, but today's pitch at the Feroz Shah Kotla can definitely be favouring their spin attack. With me here in the studios, we have Dav Whatmore and Nikhil Mathur. Dav, first up, we just saw the toss.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, another team electing to field first. What do you think is their decision based on?
Well, I think probably the other two games as well. Don't forget, every captain that's won the toss has fielded. I just think that they must ensure that their strength is their spin and that they have a dry ball in which to impart the spin right throughout the 50 overs. And they would like to know what the total is that they're chasing.
Nikhil, what about you?
I mean, the pitch is not easy to bat on. Only 300 have been scored on this pitch only twice, and that happened in 2011. And as Dav pointed out, the spin is going to play a big part in this match. Theekshana is out, he is injured, and we are just waiting for the playing 11. So let's see who Sri Lanka have gone with. I heard Shanaka saying that they've got 3 all-rounders in, but we are just waiting for the playing 11.
Dav, right away, let's just take a bird's eye view of the squads as they stand. Let's begin with South Africa. If we can just pull up that graphic for you, and we actually do have their names as well. These are your batters.
That's for Sri Lanka,
Sure.
Yep.
Let's start with Sri Lanka there.
Okay.
Pereira, a bit of an injury concern there, but as we're hearing, he is going to be playing
He's playing.
today's
The
game.
playing 11 is on the broadcast right now.
Okay.
Kushal Pereira is in the 11. So
Is in
no
the
injury
11.
concern for now.
The discussion was, should they play Kushal Pereira or Dimwith Karunaratne? You know, they're two hugely contrasting ways they bat, so they've gone for the attacking player, which I think is a good thing. If it comes off, it'll be really good. If it doesn't, so be it. But that was the big talking point there.
Do we see him going above 90, considering he's coming back at the back of an injury? Do we see Pereira doing that?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a problem. My sources were telling me it's a shoulder injury, but it was really a very minor one. It was just a bit more of a a case of a couple of days rest and he's right. So that's not a problem.
Mendes is the other power hitter.
Yeah, he's another
too
good...
much reliance on these two, would you say?
Well, I think Mendes more so. He's the one that's in a little bit of form and, in fact, he's in terrific form. So they'll be looking at him to continue, but how many times can you keep doing it? He needs to get support from the others.
Yeah.
I just have the South Africa playing 11. Dave, I want you to react on it.
Yep.
So, Quinton de Kock and Temba Bavuma opens.
Yep.
Rassie van der Dussen is there. Aiden Markram,
Yep.
Henrik Klaassen,
Yep.
David Miller,
Yep.
Marco Jensen.
Yep.
Gerald Koidze gets in a look. Keshav Maharaj, Lungi Engidi and Kagiso Rabada. So just
Okay,
one spinner.
Shamsi out?
No Shamsi.
No Shamsi and Kurtze.
Yeah,
Right?
Koidze, yeah.
Okay.
So just one spinner, and it's a track that favors spinners. Do you
Well,
think they should have
Markram bowls a bit though. Markram can also bowl as well
Part-time,
as... he's been bowling a little bit more so, but certainly Maharaj will be required to do the bulk of it.
But do you think they should have gone with 2 spinners with getting in Shamsi and Maharaj?
Well, I think playing Shamsi would have been a bit more of an attacking option. They've gone for a little bit of, a bit negative stuff, just the safer option.
Can we pull up that squad? Can we pull up South Africa's squad and actually look at it in a bit of a detail? I want you to first talk about South Africa's batting order. We will be contrasting it against Sri Lanka. We were in the midst of talking about Sri Lanka's batting order.
Sorry.
No. I completely understand how you got excited. Definitely we saw one expectant name getting skipped out there. So if we can just begin with the lineup with the South Africa team. You've got Bavuma, Quinton de Kock,
Van der Dussen, Aiden Markham, Klaassen, Miller. I think if you're looking at both of these sides on paper, I think South Africa would get the nod. But in reality, everything revolves around the surface that you're playing on, and I think that just may tilt the scales a little bit more evenly. And Sri Lanka, I think, would certainly, you know, look at that and think this is a game that we can get some points.
Which team is looking more confident to you? We know that Sri Lanka is coming at that at the back of that big loss to India.
Well, I think South Africa. You know, they finished their last bilaterals really strongly, beating Australia, and Sri Lanka, on the other hand, had a horrible final. We all know that in the Asia Cup, and then didn't do all that well in those practice matches. So I think South Africa to answer that question.
Also there...
Yeah, we have the Sri Lanka record there. I've got the Sri Lanka's playing 11 as well. So let's have a look at that. Kusal Perera and Pathum Nissanka are the openers.
Yeah.
Kusal Mendes, Thadira Samar Vikrama, Charit Asalanka, Dhananjay De Silva, Dasun Shanaka, Dunit Vilalage, Mathisa Pathirana, Dilshan Madhushanka and Kasun Rajita. So they're also...
Rajita,
is a quick.
Isha, he won it. He got the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rajita to play instead of Tikshana.
Right.
Yeah. So they also have all-rounders who can
I'm
spin.
sorry, I missed that. Do we have Hemanta in there somewhere?
No, he's not
Okay.
playing. Lahira Kumara not playing, but Kasun Rajita is.
Right. So we were just having this discussion. You would have rather played Hemanta, wouldn't you?
Well, if you like for like, a spinner out, spinner in, they're going to miss Tikshana. He's very good. He can bowl in the power play, and he can bowl in the middle when they're looking for a wicket. So he'll be missed. And interestingly, they've replaced him with a quick.
Quick, yeah.
Right, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4 fast bowlers. And
Same with South Africa
so
as well.
it's the same, yeah.
What is the strategy based on, do you think?
I think they know that it's going to be a low-scoring encounter. We won't see a 300 score there. So I think they've backed their pacers. And two spinners, they thought that it could be too much of a gamble. And look at South Africa's middle order. Aiden Markram, Henrik Klaasen, David Miller. These guys can single-handedly win you matches. And I think that's what Dav was talking about. The pitch makes the squad even, but I still feel that South Africa have more match winners in them. I mean, Markram, Klaasen, Miller, these guys can win you match single-handedly.
Dav, contrast that. Sorry.
No, I was just going to make a quick point.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I agree with what you're saying, but if Tikshana was available,
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer. He would have played.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they would have had 3 spinners.
Since we did speak about the lower middle order with the Proteas, I want you to react to the lower middle order with Team Sri Lanka. Rather underwhelming performance in their warm-up against Afghanistan. They didn't really impress there.
No, that's right. You know, one guy got a big 100 and the others didn't really chip in, so they didn't score enough and they got beaten in that game. But on paper again, they bat fairly deep. You know, but it's okay to say, but games are not won or lost on paper.
Yeah.
They're won on the field, and they've got to understand that, you know, understand the situation as it happens, and it will move during a 50-over match, and you've got to respond in the right way. And they've got enough batting down there to chase this total.
Yeah.
How much do you think they are going to try and restrict their opponents to?
Well, as least as that total as they
What's
possibly
a realistic
can.
total?
Well, what's the? Do we know a average score batting first? Usually, we've had some information here.
It's
of
a
recent
low-scoring ground.
Yeah, recent times, teams batting first, bat first 3 times, bat second 1 twice.
Right.
It's a little bit even.
Yeah.
But really, they would want to restrict a strong South African batting lineup to as little as possible in order for them to make the chase.
A lot is being said about South Africa being the dark horses in the tournament. We have enough evidence to back that. A lot of it corresponds to their change in the style of play. You know, how they have unleashed this new brand of cricket, much like the likes of England or... you know, we see even Australia play a fresh brand, a renewed brand of cricket. Contrast that to how Sri Lanka is playing right now.
I think the build-up, South Africa, they defeated Australia, and Henrik Klaasen has been their go-to man. He's smashing the bowlers all around the park. And we have a poll question as well. You can go on our Facebook and Twitter pages and vote on that. Is he going to be the X factor for South Africa? And you know, for South Africa, the group stage has never been a problem. they choke in the knockout stages. You know, there were six knockout matches in World Cup, and they have lost 5 of them. So I think group stage is never a problem for them. I think they are for me, they are the favorites to win this match, but it's the business end of the tournament that gets difficult for them.
Do you see that happening now, though, considering they've been finishing very strongly of late?
Well, I think the way you put it quite convincingly, but the surface may bring it a little bit more evenly, but certainly on paper they should do it. They have to translate that into performance on the ground. Sri Lanka, I was going to mention the last 2, not the last one, the previous 2, they were finalists. You know, so their form has dipped a little bit. So they'd be anxious to make a showing in this competition. I don't think they're going to, you know, really figure at the end of it, but they've got to show everybody, particularly the people in their own country, that they're up for the fight.
You know, and his comments remind me of the Asia Cup. It was a T20 tournament, but Sri Lanka were in the favourites, and they went on to win it. So, you know, you can never, there are no pushovers to be.
Absolutely. Also, I feel that Proteas have a particular way of getting around in the World Cups. Wouldn't you say? They somehow figure out the conditions. They somehow manage to be there towards the very end of the tournament on many occasions.
They're fighters, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Know? And I know that from personal experience that you think, well, you put them in this situation here and they're not going to, but I tell you, they find a way, and they make it really difficult for opposition to beat them. And this is, you know, a set of conditions that is not Sri Lanka's home grounds either, but a little bit more favourable to them. But South Africa, I think, are smart, and they're pretty tough customers.
I wanted to talk a little more about Klaasen. You know, he is one of the hitters that one is looking out for in this tournament. Do you think he will be their game changer, or can we look higher up the order as well?
Well, everyone has to try and make a contribution. It would be nice if Klaasen and Miller came into bat with a lot of runs that have been scored before them. But as you were saying, now this is lowish scoring ground. Maybe 220, 230 might be enough. So they have to come out and bat looking at that scoreboard and not thinking, oh, you know, we should be a lot more, and then bat stupidly. So they have to understand and be disciplined enough to, you know, to try and project what a first innings total would be, and go ahead and get that minimum, and if not more.
You know, Anisha, we don't usually get a World Cup winner to talk to so easily, and Dav Whatmore won it with Sri Lanka in 1996. I just want to understand, as a fan, what is the talk in the dressing room before the opening match? And if you were the coach of Sri Lanka right now, what would you would have told them?
What would you tell them?
It's a big competition, surely, you know, and a lot of that preparation work would be done beforehand. I would be a little worried if, you know, if on the day of the game you need to be reminding players of a number of things. All that sort of stuff is done at least 24 hours prior. So the day of the game, it's taking pressure off. Nothing other than that, just relaxing, understand that you're good enough, and give confidence. What else can you do? Just go out there, do your best. What else?
Dav, what are your key battles that we can look up?
Well, obviously, de Kock. Yeah, de Kock is going to be a pretty aggressive customer, but he can also battle a bit to the conditions. But I was thinking maybe de Kock would be an obvious place to start, and I've had him, you know, to face maybe a fast bowler, maybe Madhushankar, or even Pathiraja might be held back a little bit without the new ball. Maybe Rajitha. But if Thikshana was playing, then also there was a chance that
they could have opened with Thikshana.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, they certainly would have. That means they only had 3 quicks. So you know, so he needs to be a little careful. And you know, this is the Sri Lankan fast bowler, because you give this boy some room. Like most international batsmen, you're asking for trouble. So that's de Kock versus a fast bowler. Then I've got Klaasen against, who's coming in the middle order there. He may have to contend with some off-spin. And the only off-spinner there is Dhananjay De Silva. So I think they may hold him back a little bit for the lefty. Sorry, not Miller. Miller's the left-hander. Klaasen's right. Klaasen, I think, with Dunith Wellalege will definitely have a go at him. And he wouldn't want to give, you know, easy runs. Easy. I think you need to assess the conditions and bowl pretty accurately, which he does anyway, right?
But Velalage, I mean, he's a new guy. South Africa haven't played him, and he bamboozled in the Asia Cup. He had a decent outing against India as well. Do you think he can be that mystery, not mystery, but that spinner where South Africa find him difficult to read?
Well, he's consistent. His main asset with his left arm spin is he's consistently accurate. So you know, it's gonna, if he's able to continue in that way in a big game, then you know the batsman is going to have to cut his cloth accordingly. You know, particularly if we think the spinners are going to get a little bit of assistance from the surface.
Right.
All right, I've got a couple more matchups.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go. The two batsmen from Sri Lanka, Kushal Perera, who is the one they've gone for to open the batting. If he's still batting in 10 overs, you've got 60, 70 runs.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
You know, so they need to get that guy out pretty early. And you know, with him, he's very much like Sanath Jayasuriya, very strong in that quadrant between cover and third man, over point, over backward point, very strong. And he can, if you're over pitching and overcompensating on his legs, he can whip you there as well.
Right.
So you know, there's a requirement to be accurate and speed. Whoever's going to deliver that, maybe Rabada, maybe Ngidi.
Yeah. And what about Kushal Mendes? You know, he's the second highest run scorer in 2023, only behind Shubman Gill. And he also got a 150 in that warm-up game that they lost. Can he be the backbone of this Sri Lankan batting lineup?
He has to be, I think. You know, at the moment, he's the one that is the glue that they bat around.
Yeah.
And he's coming at number 3. So if he has to come in early, he has to contend with a new ball. And this South African fast bowlers are pretty decent. So I've matched him up, you know, with another fast bowler maybe. You know, Rabada. You know, it's incumbent on Mendes. I know that, you know, it's pressure on his shoulders a little bit, but he has to deliver.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me ask you a very basic question, but what do you think is the plan B for Sri Lanka? Should their top order topple? Of course, try and restrict South Africa, but then we have to remember they have those big top 6 hitters there in their lineup. What do you think a realistic plan B for Sri Lanka should be?
Yeah, if they do lose wickets early, and it's a possibility, but they're chasing, you need to get the score. You need to bat 50 overs. We generally look at teams batting 50 overs. If teams are able to chase scores and not be bowled out, generally they're going to win the game.
Right.
It's when they get bowled out chasing a target, that's when you lose the game. So I would be, you know, plan B or C or whatever it is. You know, if you've lost a couple of wickets, don't worry. Just, you know, bit of rear guard, you have to do a bit of a repair job and ensure that you bat the 50 overs and get as close as you possibly can. Even if the run rate goes up to like 8 and over, you just never know what pressure does to the opposition once momentum changes. But if you're losing wickets, forget it. You're not going to win.
Yeah. But I think on these kind of pitches, it's perfect for Temba Bavuma, a guy who takes his time and then plays his shot, doesn't try too many fancy shots, and he will open with Quinton de Kock. So there's a good mix. De Kock should be the aggressor, and Temba Bavuma will take his time and then try to bat throughout.
And Rassie van der Dusen as well, coming in at number 3. You know, he's no slouch, but he's also a disciplined player, I call him. You know, very disciplined. He plays straight nicely, and he's capable of batting long as well. So he and Temba Bavuma, a little bit similar, and then you've got a few of the, the aggressors coming after. Yeah.
We also have a question for you, Dav. Prashasti asks, how much will Sri Lanka miss
Wanindu
Hasaranga?
Oh, big time, huge. It's a huge loss. You know, he's a bowler who will more than likely be the difference between restricting an opposition to 100 and 200 on a good wicket, 250, 260. They'll get 300. So he's the guy that picks up wickets, as well as keeping the runs down, and he's no slouch with the bat.
Right.
You know, a very confident young guy who approaches his cricket, you know, in that manner, and he will be missed heaps.
Of course.
Nikhil, you want to take us through the polls?
We have a
conducted
couple
few
of polls.
Yeah.
Can South Africa shed the chokers tag at this World Cup? Pretty early, but what's your opinion, Dav? We have a poll with us.
It's going to be difficult for them to do that, but the only thing is that they are not coming in with a huge expectancy. The expectations of those strong South African teams in the past, they're coming in under the radar a little bit, and I think they will surprise one or two. And as I said earlier, if they don't make the semi-finals, anyway, we're not, we won't.
We are never the favourites, yeah.
So it's a no-lose.
Yeah, 65% of our audience think that they will not shed the chokers tag at this World Cup, while 35% say, well, they can. And we have few other polls as well. What will be the first innings total at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi? Less than 100, between 100 and 200, between 200 and 250, above 250. So, prediction time.
Between 2 and 250, I'd say that's a lot of runs to, a big block of to move around. I reckon 2-ish, 200, just over 200, 220 maybe.
What's your take, Isha?
I will have to go with Dav. I think around 230 to 240 is what we can look at.
But the audience says that above 250, 63%. 200 to 250, 28%, and 5% each less than 100 and between 100 and 200.
I tend to think very frugally when it comes to this.
Nikhil,
yeah.
We'd like to see the pitch. It's very difficult to project, get that
very
crystal ball and try and give you an accurate answer. I'd love to see that pitch,
I think Vidur from the WION Sports desk, he did visit the grounds yesterday, and any idea what the pitch curator had to say? Did he manage to have a word with him?
Yeah. In his report, which is there on the YouTube, even Vidur said that, it's not a high-scoring ground and it's hot and humid. So as they predicted, 200, 250 should be a decent total on this ground.
I think it depends on how dry that surface is too. Right?
Absolutely.
It makes it a little difficult for the batsman.
I want to come back to that chokers tag a little bit. Are we really looking at them as chokers anymore, or do you think they have managed to somewhat shed that tag a little bit?
I think it's leaving them because of the coming under the radar.
Yeah.
It's a South African 11 that's coming to play cricket. They did very well in their last bilateral, as we've already mentioned. Apart from that, these names, there's lots of other really big names in the past that failed to deliver. But in this, I think they're slowly, shedding it.
We have few more questions. Digvijay, our sports editor, he is watching this live as well. Yeah. He says, is Marco Jansen the new Jack Kallis for South Africa?
Jack Kallis. Before it was Klusener, he was using Klusener's name. Now he's gone for Kallis. Kallis, they're both right-handers. Jansen's a left-hander. Yeah. But he's got the potential to really be a very valuable member of that team. He is to a point now, but he's still growing into that slot of being able to bat as well as support his bowling, which is very good. So I think he's growing into it. The potential surely will be. I'm not sure if he anything like Jack Kallis. He's got to have a wonderful career. There's not too many Jack Kallises around. 300 test wickets, 8,000 test run.
And speaking of potential, there's another question. How effective Mathisa Pathirana is going to be in this World Cup? Because he has played for Chennai Super Kings. Yeah. Not on this pitch maybe, but he does know Indian conditions. Yeah. Is he going to be the X factor for Sri Lanka? Sling arm action, probably a bit like Lasat Malinga there? Well,
he'll be required. They'll be throwing the ball to him when they want a wicket in the middle. But more importantly, I think he'll be definitely one bowler at the end who will be required to bowl maybe 2 or 3 to try and stop that flow of runs and hopefully pick up a wicket. Yeah, so he's very important as well.
Any chance, I should probably ask you this question at the end of the day. I know they've not really bowled a single ball yet. Any chance South Africa, even Sri Lanka for that matter, will feature in your top 4?
I'm not sure about Sri Lanka. But
I meant to ask you about South Africa.
South Africa is creeping into one of 3 teams who potentially can make it into the 4. Yeah. Please bear in mind this is only the 3rd game.
Yes.
4th game.
I already stated the disclaimer in the beginning. Yes.
Please, an extension of time.
Yes.
We'll give it to you.
So the final question: can South Africa begin their campaign with a win over Sri Lanka? 82% say yes, they
Yes,
can.
yeah.
And Dav agrees with those.
Well, that's right. On paper, as I said,
Yeah.
you know, they're the stronger team, no question. But I'm really interested to start watching this to see how that pitch behaves over the next 20 overs, which will really determine, I think, who the winner's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we head into the game, any more pointers you guys wanna put in, and then we can actually just go and watch the
I think
match.
I'm excited to see Quinton de Kock. He's going to retire after this World Cup, so it's going to be
Yeah.
special for him. And hopefully he can get South Africa to a great start.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm really keen to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dav. Thanks, Nikhil. We will be joining you guys very soon. This is World of Cricket. We'll be back shortly.